Hi, my name is Ken Lasseson. I wrote and maintain the Microbiome prescription website, and as you can see, I'm a data nerd, particularly with the microbiome. This will go over a bunch of new features which I have just pushed out today, May the 14th, and all these features are not dealing with microbiome analysis, but with usability on the site based on requests from a variety of users. First thing is, I'll use the example login. When you Hi, my name is Ken Lasseson. I wrote the microbiome prescription site and continuing to maintain it. Today I'm going to be talking about a new usability feature addition to the website based on requests from several users wanting to see this or that bell and whistle to make their life easier in working with the site. Some cases it's because they are consultants and they have a bunch of different people, so it's partially to make those people better. I'm also looking at opening up a professional which is designed for consultants with multiple people they are advising on features. So this is the beginning of that process. So let's start. First of all, let's do a login, or we'll make use of the bottom side login. Either way, in a moment, a new page. And a new page says, okay, you successfully log in. This page shows up because it allows you to add a bookmark. For example, all I have to do is in Windows do Control D, and voila, it ends up saying, okay, do you want to add this bookmark? That means I don't have to go back and find email. It's now a favorite on my browser. Keyword, only do this if you are on a private machine which only you or those close to you are going to be using. Do not do it on a public machine, or else somebody could well get in there and muck with your data, like delete it all or cause all sorts of abnormality. So I click done, and now if I go up to microbiome, down the bottom I see there, and it's a login for the email, which just what happens to be, which is members@example.com, which is what Biome site set up. So I'll have option of always seeing this page, or I've seen it once, I saved it, I'm done with it, just send me to the sample. So I'll mark it as do not show this page. And voila, we're over at sample. Login from my saved favorite or bookmark. I'm right in. Okay, so that's the first feature, saves you finding the email. And the second feature is this bar across the top. It gives you a choice of saying, I want samples after this date, samples before this date, what labs, and what patient. In this case, we have Mr. Example and Mrs. Example or all. I select all, and we have everything there. So we're now able to do a much more filter set. So you end up with a subset of items here. And I'm going to flip over and log into one of my accounts where I have a ton of samples. Okay, I've logged in as myself, and as you see, I have tons and tons of examples. So this gives us the ability to pick a time period or a particular lab. For example, if I want to look at just my uBiome samples, I can just do an update here, and we only have the uBiomes listed. If I want to go and do some editing, I'll go over here and value biome. I could just change it to can. And oops, let's make another consistency here. Can, self, and can. And for each one, unfortunately, I'm going to have to update each one by one. I don't have a update everything. What you will see is, you see, this is what you use everywhere. It consists of three parts. And the free parts are highlighted here, from what lab, what date, and what person was tagged with the name. We also have a file name here so that you can actually enter in the file name which the file the data is coming from. This was requested because sometimes people got confused and the problem is finding it. So that's the process. And again, one more for Ken. There. We also have a comment. It's largely designed for consultants or when you're working with a consultant or somebody else, is add comments. About my health or whatever, and update it. So it gives you ability to add additional information to go through the sample. So you can have the name of the person, you can have the name of the file, and you can add comments. So the other thing you notice is that sample link is now on just about all the pages to make life easier. Sometimes it was bouncing all over the page, so now it's consistently going back and it's there. Something like Sucrose Biotech, I could do an update. And we have the singleton, so we have just one sample here. Or let's take a look at my 5 samples. I am there. And there we have all the 5 samples. So we have a subset. Now, this subset carries throughout the site, or at least so far I've been able to find, it's consistent throughout the site. So if you go in and do changing your microbiome and go suggested probiotics, you have there, and its drop down is only the ones which you have already selected. So you're now working with a subset. The subset could be by person, or by the lab, or by the date range. So you can, if you have the double processing, you can do the bottom site and the 5 site and have them as a small set together, limiting by the date. So that is there. Again, we can go back to the sample. So that covers, if you are not premium, then this becomes disabled and you see everything, which for most people is not a problem. If you're using it very heavily, I would suggest once your premium expires, send me a donation, or alternatively send me a plea that you can't afford, in which case doesn't matter. I'll just go and update it. The main thing is, if it has value to you and you have surplus funds, then help support the cost of the site. So now let's take a look at a couple other things. We have the upload there. We have also download samples. Download sample is as before. And what we have is all those, and now you can pick as many or as few items as you want in terms of download. If you want to know what the rank is, we have also a sweet little thing called hierarchical taxonomy, in which case it will actually be in a hierarchy that the bacteria are having organized by the NCBI, or National Institute of Health Library System. You can go and add your high and low threshold if you want to know what percentage doing it. If you want a taxon number, for example, I say, okay, I want percentage. If you're doing high and low threshold, make sure you do count per million, because that's what those two things are based on. And percentile ranking and percentage. Remember the difference between percentage is out of 100. Percentile is where in a bunch of 100 you rank. So, and I'll click download. And as you do a download, all the sample numbers are there in the name. You do a save. There's a file. I'll click that. And it will now load Excel, which I will bring across to the screen. So here is an Excel. The first thing I want to do is show the left side. You see that everything is nicely indented by what the parents are. Parent is, you have your rank, how the frequency, which is mean how many samples it is in. I have not implemented lab by lab frequency numbers yet, and that's on my backlog list. I was hoping to get more samples before I do it. So all these are for all sources of labs, the percentiles. Generally, they are good until you get down to the species level, and their labs different. Generally, labs cover all of the same genuses. The species where they differ. You get the count of mold-drop ranges there, and now you get your samples. And if I'm going to do two things in Excel, for those of you who are not Excel savvy, I'm going to drag that down and format cells, and I'm going to say wrap text. And now we just make some of them a little bit bigger, and we see everything is sitting there. So we have the title of the sample and the units there, their percentage. So we could, if we really want to, go through and take all the per million and mark it with one color, and we can take the all oops, that should have been in the same one as that. We can now go and grab all the percentage, mark it a different color, and then we can go in and go over to the percentiles and mark it with a third color. And the main reason for doing that is making it easier to read, because you will often, when you're close between the two of them, get confused by them. In this case, it makes it easier. So now you can see how a particular item, let's go over again. I don't want to give you a Excel lesson, but it's probably good. So I go and mark this first one, and now I'll go up to do view and then freeze panes. And that means that when I scroll across, the name of the bacteria still stays there. So for example, I have just one bacteria, and we can see that it used to be a high percentile, then it dropped down, and then it dropped down, and then it's disappeared. In other words, there was a progression there, and you see the percentile progression, or percentages. Percentages are to 2 decimal points, so a small number like 21 will probably disappear to 0, and you have the millions there. And keyword is that labs scale things out of the million. You may not have as many as that incidence. That's why the raw number can be important if you are wanting to be a more technical there. I'll just save that so it's easy, and I'm going to save it as Excel workbook so that all my formatting stays true. Row count is the actual count. For example, they scale out of million. They may only have detected 100,000. So you get 5 bacteria detected in 100,000, and they multiply that by 10. So it will report 50, when in reality you only have 5. When you have a very small number in terms of the row count, the reliability of the measurement really goes down. Technical item, and let's not deal with that too much. Again, samples are easy to get back to now. So we have covered the downloads and nice sweet features there. We have the update and delete samples, which, as you just saw, provided more fields than before. And now we go over to share your samples. This is a new feature, and what it means is you can share samples in one of two ways. We have some consultants listed here, which are people who have gone and informed me, or I contacted them and they say, okay, so it gives you information about who they are, clinical nutrition, MBO research, etc. If you want more information about the people, just go here and we'll give you a list of the people, the website, etc. so you can go and get more information about them, or you can send it to them. You're only allowed to have one active consultant at a time. Just mainly because you probably shouldn't get conflicting opinions. Do one person at a time, then change to the next one. But down below we have something which is intended for you to share with your naturopath, your chiropractor, your regular MD, or whoever you care to. You can go and share the samples, and the sample information is sent over. And here's an example of what the email that will be sent to them will read like. And basically it's whatever name is in the sample. So make sure to update their person's field so your name is there so they know who it is. The email is also given there, but not every person knows people by their email, so please update the name. Request you to review the probiotics and supplements, which are links to this particular samples, probiotics and supplement using. Okay, tells you what lab it's through, tells you where the data is being derived from, and goes on, says after 5 years of being a massive number of things. It gives the medical conditions, and the purpose of that is a bit of a selling, intentionally as a selling job, so they can go over and see the studies, and things have changed. I need to get current. I'm behind the time. That's one of the issues, is trying to bring your medical professionals up to the current levels, and there, so it gives you medical conditions and gives you the benefits, etc. And then it says how many different bacteria is in there, which is again part of the selling job. If you click on there, it will actually go over and once it's finished spinning around a bit. And that page I am planning to improve. I know how to do it better. Okay, I got a break there, so I need to fix that, which is good. But it shows you the bacteria view, and then connect to set. So it also gives you the login link so they can log in. And again, they log in with their own email, and we also give them additional suggestions for them to view. So if you go over there, we'll get the suggestions so they can see, review it for you. And that's basically it is trying to upskill your medical professionals on the microbiome, give them something very explicit. Okay, here's the supplements, here's the probiotics, please review. Very reasonable request. Then we also give them, here's a whole list of other changes. If they're interested in viewing it, here's a whole bunch more information. Please go and take a look at it. Again, goes on. I go and do a little bit of bragware, whatever. Basically, I'm not a medical professional. What I am is a data scientist. So I'm basically giving my credentials there, which sometimes will cause people to stop and say, okay, this isn't a person just who is not skilled in the area, just blowing his own horn. Is a person who has worked for some major companies doing precisely this. It's worth taking perhaps a little scan through. Again, that's there, so you just enter in your email. If I say Bob Jones, hopefully this will work. I believe it does. It says Bob Jones not a valid email address. So it checks the email and comes back. And once you assign it, they have access. If you click remove, they will no longer have access to your sample. So it is a two-way street. You can give a subset to a particular one person. There's nothing exclusive from that. When you go to a consultant, they get all of your samples. So that's something to keep in mind. Couple reminders is make sure the person is updated with the full name, and symptoms here, make sure you have filled out your symptoms. It will help the person understand what's going on, especially in the case of consultant. You want to save them time by enumerating out the symptoms you have. Okay, I think I'm almost done. Let me see if I missed anything. I rearranged things here and there. File name, which is blank here because none of mine have it. And that's basically it. And over here I have updated this one to give a better idea. And again, these are overall are not lab specific. Getting them lab specific is on my to-do list, but at the moment they're overall, and it identifies whether or not something is of concern or whatever, in terms of being out of sight. Those that will improve and be more correct according to the labs you're using. Right now we're using everybody's sample merged into one rather than having individual paths for each lab, which is unfortunately some work I'm going to be stuck with. Okay, that covers it. We have, if you do multiple sample comparison, again you have all of the labs you selected originally and it's sitting there. Okay, I think that basically covers all of the features on this. I have one bug I see I need to repair. Apart from that, I'll let people disappear. So enjoy the UI, and hope if you have suggestions, feel free to email me. I like to make the site as friendly as possible, although it's a very technical site and you get information overload at times as possible to simplify matters out.